Greetings. My name is Master Raven Mayne, and this class is called Maintaining the Dream. It's all about service, thinking about service, doing service, and kind of the thought on how service is done in the SCA anyway. How the ideal way of doing service. It doesn't always happen in successive order or the way we want it to, but how we volunteer for stuff is always up to us. When I started in the SCA, I had come from playing in a lot of different hobbies. And in those hobbies, I felt like there was an end, I reached the end of my creativity in that hobby. So when I found the SCA in the late 1990s, I realized that how expansive the SCA is, how much stuff there is to do, and it really gave me an artistic outlet. So what I did was I tried to figure out how to give back. That's just how I am. I like to, to do that on a regular basis with everything. If something works out, I want to try to figure out how to make it, if I could help someone or whatever, that's what I do. So when like I said, when I found the SCA, I decided that it was going to be a great place to use my artistic outlet, all my artistic education, everything that I've been doing. I've been doing art since since kindergarten, as far as I can remember, in every grade, throughout my entire life. So how can I use that skill to give back? So I drew life pencil drawings for our kingdom and our baronial newsletters. So that's what I did. That was the first thing that I did, and I thought, this is what I'm going to do back. But I also did a lot of service in the aspect of if something needed to be, someone needed help moving something, someone needed help setting up something. That's what I did. The SCA, as you know, or hopefully know, is a service group. Everything is done because of somebody volunteering somewhere. So everything that you enjoy about the SCA or find in the SCA, someone somewhere down the line dedicated their free time to make something happen. And for decades, since the start of the SCA, everything is built on someone dedicating their time. So I always say I suggest two things, at least off the top of the bat when I talk to people about the SCA, is that when you're enjoying the SCA, take time to reflect, even if it was for a few minutes, of all the people that put the time into doing whatever it is, whether it works or it doesn't, someone put their time into it. So just appreciate doing that. And the second thing is or not so obviously, is to volunteer, do something helpful at every event, everything that you go to. Spend some time doing one thing, loading, a somebody into an event, or their stuff into an event, not them, some stuff into an event, or helps chairs sweep up afterwards. Maybe someone in the kitchen needs, a hand. Maybe at a fighting, at a tournament, someone needs help with Eric's. Even if you just do that, even though I would like to see, everybody do as much as they possibly can, I would encourage you just to do something, no matter how little it is, something in an event, because if everybody does that, everything will work a lot better. So, and maybe if you do it enough times, you'll catch the bug of doing stuff for the enjoyment of doing stuff for other people. And there's always a need. Someone needs help somewhere doing something, so you just have to find that is. So I've got a PowerPoint. Start that. So this is Maintaining the Dream. Again, I'm Baron Raven Mayne. I am from the Kingdom of Aidenveld. Volunteers are needed. Like I said, they're always needed. No matter where you go and what you do in the SA, someone's going to need help doing something. So it's good to, try and find that spot, find that area that someone needs help. Everything takes effort, so you have to figure out where somebody needs help, because you'll see a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. So at every event and anything that happens in the thing. So if hopefully like doing service in the SCA, or volunteering your time doing something, like I said, doing something. And but if you want to try and figure out where you fit in, maybe when it comes to service and what you want to do, how maybe there's something somewhere that's better fit for you. So you can look around and look at the different jobs, the exchequer, the seneschal, with money, or with kingdom law, or marshal, or what it is. So best thing to do is identify your skills. So everybody has some sort of skill, whatever it is. Organization skills are really needed in the STA for everything. Somebody needs something organized, because everything is just usually coming in and going out and stuff like that. So public speaking is a big thing, because there's, we usually don't have microphones. So a lot of the stuff that we use and do takes voice, and someone's voice doing something. So whether it's announcing an event or whatever it is, leading is a skill. So if you have good leading skills, leadership skills, that usually helps a lot. So you can take a group of people or whatever it is and get a task done, whatever that task might be, which also leads me into multitasking. So to doing many different things at once. Now they say you can't multitask, or it's hard to multitask, but you can. You can do one project, put it down. It's good for now. You can pick up another thing and do it now, but you don't want to get too burned out. So if you have skills like this, or different skills, try and figure out how that skill could be used in the SCA somewhere, and see if it can help out somewhere part of the SCA. And now, what are your weaknesses? Now, someone's strengths could be your weaknesses. So how is that? Maybe you can't do public speaking, horrible at organization, or leading, well, just, but if you even have a little bit of skill in there, just a little bit, or you kind of do it in the mundane, as we call it, world, you can practice these things in the SCA. There's a little more forgiveness than there is in real life sometimes in the SCA, because it's all volunteer. So like for me, I've never been a very loud person, or do any public speaking, but I've done a lot of it over the years in the SCA. So I've been able to try and hone my skills. I'm still not really great at it, but I got to practice in the SCA. Now, if my mundane life, for some reason, needed me to do some public speaking in front of a large crowd, I would be able to do it, because I've been doing it so long in the SCA that doing it in the regular world, the civilian world, I like to call it, sometimes, is that I could do it, and people were like, "Where?" People may possibly notice that I've been doing it, that I'm good at it, maybe, or I'm adequate at it, and they're like, they don't know that I've been practicing this whole time. So I can make my flubs and everything else in the SCA, and I'm usually forgiven for things like that. We all usually are. But if you have an organizational, issues or something, or leading or multitasking or whatever, SCA is a good place to try and figure out how to maybe start and learn from somebody else who's been doing it for a long time or knows how to do it very well, and maybe you can improve your skills. So find somewhere in the SEA, whatever job it is, and see how you can use how you can maybe improve yourself at the same time, maybe using your strengths somewhere. When you're trying to find out where you should give your time, the best place to do it is where a place that interests you. So if it's archery, if it's maybe front gate or troll, just sitting and talking to people all day, maybe dealing with money, or hard suit fighting, the rapier, or arts, or whatever it is, that's where you should concentrate, in my opinion. Try and find a spot to fit in, to give back, to do some service in, because a place you already want to be it's going to be a lot easier for you to do service in. So find out what you want to do. And the first thing you should do, like I said, in linear order, which doesn't always work out, is that you'd want to try and just see if you can help give a hand. Nothing official, nothing long term, nothing contractual, anything. You just want to lend a hand, so whatever it is. So if somebody friend can just needs you, someone to sit there and help them give out tokens, or maybe set up the airfield, or help with marshaling, or whatever it is, just to help out. And you're not doing, like I said, not officially, just to see if that's what you want to do. And then you can take it up from there. If it really is enjoyable to you, you're going to be asked, usually, even if you're doing a pretty good job, you're going to be asked by someone, would you like to be a deputy? So a good way to do things like this is to be a deputy to a position of whatever office it is. You don't have to take on an office, you don't have to be a deputy or whatever, but if you're going to do more and more service, it helps you, I think, focus you on an area rather than doing service all over the place whenever needed, which is always and everywhere. You can try and do it for one specific job and try and really concentrate your efforts on one job. Like I said, you don't have to. This is just what part of the linear travel for this. So being a deputy, be a deputy with, now, do you really like it? You can, get a warrant maybe. Not all deputies need warrants, but if you're warranted, you can do it for a while. That's the next step up if you're going to be a deputy. Not, like I said, like a warrant, you can have a warrant or not have a warrant. If you have a warrant, then then that's the next step up. That's when you're like, well, I'm really gonna, you know what, I want to make sure that this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it for a set amount of time. The next thing up, if you want to, if it's if you're chosen, to, if you want to take over the job, if you want to be the lead for the job. Now, hopefully, you've been doing deputy for quite a little bit, or quite a while, a certain period of time where you kind of understand what's going on, and the person that's doing the main job needs to step down for whatever reason. You don't have to take over the office. You can stay a deputy. I have no deputies who, that's all they are, is deputies. So you don't have to take over a job, but if you want to, that's the next step up. You could do the main job if you want to. But there's a lot of jobs all over the SCA, so you don't have to do one thing. You can, like I said, you can do a few things. You don't have to be a deputy. You don't have to take up my office, but you can just help, on site for different things or whatever. So, but if you do certain jobs in the SCA, whether you're a deputy or the main officer or whatever, you build up experience. So you can kind of get an idea how the SCA works, how your this office, whatever you've taken over, works with other offices, stuff like that. So take the experience with you. The main thing to know is your limits. You may have to figure out what your limits are. How much time you have to sit in one area. How much can your body take if you're just if you're marshaling all day, you're putting up barracks and toting parts and stuff. Know when your limit is, and know that hopefully whoever you're doing service with or for will understand it. You're just like, you know what, I could do. You can just be honest with them and let them know I'm reaching my, I don't know if I could do this today. I'm running out of steam. I'm sick. I'm at home or whatever. I can't help. Let people know when in advance when something like that happens, but know where your limits are. Now, for me, I've pushed my limits sometimes and go, maybe I could just hang there a bit longer when when I'm at an event going. But be honest with everybody around you. Let them know that you're whatever is going on. No one wants to, have yourself push yourself too far. Which brings me to make sure that you eat and drink and you rest, no matter what you do, and remember how to do that. If you can't remember, find a friend or someone that, no matter what job you're doing, make sure that someone can remind you to take care of yourself. So, but make a when you're looking for something, make sure that maybe just work up a list of the things that you want to do and the places you want to help and maybe have multi-interests and stuff. But find out what makes you happy. So whatever you're doing, hopefully, whatever service you're doing it, and it's making uh, it's a joy for you. You're happy to be there because that's the job that you're gonna do the longest and do the best is when you're enjoying what you're doing. So find a place that you have a passion for would be perfect. Um, but just try and find someplace that for you, um, you know is enriching to you. So it's giving something as you're giving to it, it's giving back. Just like I mentioned before, the SCA gave me so much, so I'm trying to get back. So make sure it goes back and forth at all the time. So, and friends make a large part of doing anything in the SCA. So make sure that you've got enough acquaintances or friends in the SCA. They'll always make things where they should make things helpful, easier, and you can work together and a job well done, with a bunch of friends and taking care of each other is always good. So try and do things the best you can, um, but make sure, like I said, be honest with everything and don't get too stressed. If you're too stressed and you're not really enjoying yourself, say for instance, whatever, if you take on whatever job you take on, whether it's just a deputy or warranted, whatever it is, and it's not being enriching to you anymore, or you're like you're not enjoying yourself. Let those in charge know that you're going to need to step down. Don't don't waver on it. If it's time to go, it's time to go, um, because your job is going to more likely going to suffer because you you were having a horrible time and you didn't look like maybe you didn't even look like you were having a good time doing whatever job that is, and people might think that job is the problem. It may be just because you don't, there's something you and the job's relationship that's the issue, not necessarily the job, because someone else might love that job and be able to do the things maybe that, are not, fitting into what you would like to do. But know your time when your time is done. So before it's done, don't do it, when it's done, when you've reached your limit. Um, do it way beforehand to have somebody replace you. Don't just leave or whatever. Um, learn to spot the signs. Over time, you'll learn that there are signs when you're getting too stressed at a job. Um, you're not want to do your job for one thing. Um, so, but there are signs that you can look for that go, you know what, I've seen these before. what, as your job, as you do your service for whatever it is, and you you can spot those things, and you can understand that you can make adjustments. Sometimes all it needs is adjustment, like getting uh, delegating more if you're if you're a leader position, and um, maybe spreading the workload out may help. Do things to try and obviously do things to try and to solve the situation on your own. And if you can't, ask for advice from someone who's done the job before you. Um, if you're in a position where you can't figure out a problem or an issue, ask for help somewhere. Ask for advice somewhere, um, multiple places if you have to try and figure out if you can figure out the problem yourself, if you can figure out the issue yourself. That is the best, one of at least the initial uh, good, you know, thing to do is to try and figure out how to fix the problem first. Part of the job or how you can do it. And if you just, if you just reach that point where you're just like, I can't figure this out, step down, let them know, and whatever, how long it takes to maybe if hopefully you have an emergency deputy, which is really important, hard to find with almost every job. So keep that in mind. As soon as you take on a job, look for a deputy that hopefully will replace you. It's usually, if every job that I've had, it's usually, and from what I've observed in other people's other people who have different jobs, it's really hard to have someone that's going to take over from you. Um, every job that I've taken over, I've tried to make it look like I've tried to make it so that anybody can do whatever job that is. So it's easier for something to take it over. There's there's sometimes where people would make, where they think they're making the job better, but actually they could make it hard or almost impossible for anybody else to take it over. So you made job security in a job that you may or may not want for years. So keep that in mind. So once you reach that point where you need to step down, make sure that there's a transition between a smooth transition as you can between you and the person taking over, whoever that is. It could be someone that's never even had that job. Things work out that way for one reason or another. Like I said, hopefully you have an emergency deputy that works out with the, with the superiors that's going to happen, which is a lot easier. Like I said, if you have a deputy or emergency deputy that can take over because they've already, they at least have an idea of what the job entails. But it doesn't always happen. Someone who's done the job, way before you, or in a different kingdom or a different barony, whatever, will raise their hand, and those in charge choose them to take over. So whatever it is, I always suggest to make the transition as easy as possible. There are those that take on a position and know what they want to do with it. So that's okay. That's part of the, life. But what I try and suggest to do is to try and give them as much information as you can. So you can say, I did everything I possibly could to make sure that they got everything they needed, or everything that I could give them, I did. So whether it's reports, whether it's how you did your job, whatever it is, however it would make that transition easier for someone else to take over for you, try and do that. So you can make the transition easier, not only for you, but for everybody, that you're doing the job for. they, see a smooth transition from one person to the other. Sometimes, not always, depends on the job. Sometimes a person is stepping down will become the emergency deputy just so that they can make the transition easier for the main person. It's not always a welcome thing, it's not always a wanted thing, but if you can do that, sometimes that helps because then everybody actually can see the transition help, instead of just overnight, they can actually see, that what's your intention of trying to make help the job work. Like I said, it doesn't always work that way, where you can do that with jobs, but that would be the ideal. So when you're doing a job, make sure you have a contingency plan or alternative plans. So this goes back, actually, this should be at the beginning too, but to keep it, my wife and I and many of our friends try and show this how beneficial this is to have plans, different plans. So don't, like I said, we don't suggest putting all your eggs in one basket is what they usually say. So all or nothing. If you go for a job and you don't get it, it's okay. Try and like I said, make sure you have alternate plans. You have plan A through Z or even far, as far as you can go. So that way, if something doesn't work out, you have something else to go to. You already have an idea where you want to go. That may not work out. Don't. So then you go to plan C, and then you just keep going. And what that does is that if you do that enough and well enough, you shouldn't be stressed about anything or as much or as stresses about things. So when you're stepping down from a job, whatever it is, if say you get the job or whatever, or deputy, even whatever position it is, take a break, reflect on what you've done, relish in the successes, learn from your mistakes, and take a break and relax before you go jumping into doing anything else. Like I said, that doesn't always happen, but try. So, but whoever takes over from the job may not do the same thing, and you have to be okay with that. Whoever takes over the job for you, they're going to have their own way of, like I said, possibly their own way of doing things. So you have to make sure that may upset you. So just a heads up on that may upset you. So may or may not, but it may. So just, that's something that may happen. So if someone comes over and takes the job and does it all differently and changes everything, it's not your job anymore. It's that, if they've taken it over, let them do whatever they need to do, and try not to get in the way or show that you're still able to do able to do whatever the job takes. You want to make sure that everybody's looking to the new person, whoever that is. When it comes to doing things, what I try and do is because you won't make everybody happy, right? So I try and shoot for the middle ground. It's not the best plan in the whole world, but I found that shooting for the middle ground seems to be the best. Like I said, you're not going to make everybody happy. Not everybody's going to be happy with what you want to do or your decisions. So the best thing to do is to try and make how I see it anyway. This is what I do. Is I make everybody okay with the situation. So not everybody's angry and not everybody's happy. But everybody's okay, okay with the situation. So whatever whatever you do, if you can shoot for the middle, then you can try and get more people to be happy with the situation. I try and make the majority happy, most of the time, because that's who's attending the events. That's who's help running things. That's that's the main purpose of doing things, is for the majority of people. If someone needs a favor, or someone needs um, a decision made in their favor, and it affects absolutely no one else, I will help them out. I will make sure that they're happy. That one person is extremely happy. Obviously, because it's not, it's not affecting anybody else. What Also, when you're doing a job, take breaks when you're doing, when you're doing, go on vacation, go, take some time. Make sure that the SCA is not your whole life, because it can. The SCA, like many other clubs, social clubs, or hobbies, can take over your life as much as you let it. You take all the money you have, the time you have. It can do that. So you have to balance your life out. Make sure that you're doing, you have little side hobbies that aren't taking, a lot of your time and money. Doing other things, enjoying life to the fullest. So, um, and always make sure that you're doing it and it's making you happy. Whatever that you do in the SCA, make sure that you're enjoying yourself. And there's, like I said, there's varying degrees of helping out and doing different things. So do what you can. No matter how small the job is, no matter how whatever it is, um, make sure that that you enjoy yourself. Ultimately, make sure that you're happy with everything. And then you're because that's why you're doing. Happiness is what's gonna keep you in the SCA and keep you doing things. But learn as you go along. Learn what makes you happy. Learn what you like doing. Learn what you don't like doing. Try and focus yourself on what's going to make you happy, because that's going to keep you playing in the SCA anyway. That and friends. So make as many friends as possible. Do what makes you happy. Enjoy yourself. Be happy in your hobby. So that's the best way to do it. So um, the one thing I suggest that people do that doesn't always, no, not as obvious, is make an SCA resume. Let me close this. Make an SCA resume. And what that is for me, this is how I assemble mine, is it has my, my SCA name, has a blazon of my device, my past SCA device, has my membership number, it's got my email on it, it, and then it has a list of awards that I've received. Um, hopefully everybody's going to recognize you, hopefully, for the service and the arts and everything else from the fighting, your prowess on the field, at some point, hopefully, and you'll receive an accolade for that. And that's what I've done on my, this is my Kingdom Awards, my Baroni Awards, and I've separated them all out, and just because I wanted them in order, so they're order of presidents. But not everybody has to do that. So you don't have to have that. If you don't, whatever your awards are, just list them. And then I have my experience, my service experience. So I have teaching, I have autocrating, and I also have the jobs are also for me. Whatever jobs that I did, whether baronial jobs or kingdom jobs. And actually, I was a society ANS minister, as well as kingdom ANS minister. So, and I was a baronial scribe. So I did all those for 4 or 5 years each. So they're on there. So, and the events, maybe events you run and the classes that you taught, like I said, and not in a lot of detail, just like, I taught this class at this event on this date. And it will come in handy later on. As for me, being in the SCA, for as long as I have, and getting older, I forget when I did what. And being able to go to a resume and be able to look and go, oh, that's when I did that. Um, it also comes in handy when, to many other surprise, to many surprise actually, is when I put into for a job, whether it's for running a war or for a kingdom job or a society job. I had a resume, um, uh, and like I said, it was a surprise on some because not everybody's used to seeing it, but it's really good to have. Or me and my wife ran for Baron and Baroness for our parenting. And we both had a resume. So I've been doing it since I've been in the SCA. Started in the SCA. Um, my Pelican, when I was a protege, had me do it, and I've been doing it ever since. And I keep it updated. I keep up. I even keep my wife's updated. So um, because it just helps all work together. One thing, another not one thing, another thing that the resume is good for is for you um, to reflect on and be able to see your accomplishments, see what you have done, appreciate all the things that you have done. If no one, especially if no one else is really doing it, so yeah, just you be able to look at the resume and go, this is all the stuff that's happened to me. This is all the things that I've done. So you know, and that's good. It's good to reflect on every once in a while and go, this is everything is not for naught. So yeah, so resume is what I encourage everybody to do, and do service where we can. So services, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a big part of the SCA. So do as much as you can, when you can, however you can. Encourage others to do service. Um, Try and find the good points and the good times and the good memories that you're going to have being in the SCA and doing service. Um, One of the things that I came up with, and I don't know if it's an original idea, but I think it is that I call a thing called volunteer points. And what this is say you're volunteering. Um, there's actually, you'll notice that after you volunteered for a while, that you may notice that there's a group of individuals that volunteer quite a bit, and it's kind of you'll see them over and over again, and they'll recognize you, and you recognize them, and go, yeah, we're doing service together. You can kind of know um, who you work best with, who you haven't worked with before, right? So those kind of things. So after, at least when it comes to events, we're running an event, being a steward or autocrat an event. Um, if you help out enough, usually, not always, but what happens is, say you're always helping out as when someone runs an event, whatever event that is, and you're always helping them out, doing whatever. Eventually, down the road, after you've done it enough for enough people, enough situations, been noticed enough, made friends along the way of those that also do a service. Um, when you get your chance to run a competition, a tournament, an event, whatever it is, you can then turn around and say, can you help me with this? They know how to those people that you've helped out. They know what your work ethic is. They know how well you work. They know what your job is. They know that they can work with you. And more often than not, those that are in the service-minded individual of those service-minded individuals will help you. So you are building a support group of people that help, that do service. I call them volunteer points. No one else calls it that, and it's an unsaid thing. No girl, said, have you been keeping track of your your volunteer points? No one says that. Who does anything like that? It's just an unspoken thing, and that's the way the majority of the times it works. Majority of the times it works that way. So give your time, whatever it is, help someone else out, um, and that'll happen. Also, when you're, no matter what job you're doing, sometimes people are very focused on the job that they want to do. So whatever job that is, um, but make sure you're not what I call a dead end. So if someone comes to you and says, you know, I need to find someone who's where's the marshal? You know, I don't. No, I'm not saying you should know everything, but just get an idea of who's in charge of what. At least that, at least if you at least know who's in charge of what, that is great. Because what'll happen is someone will come up and ask a question, and you can point them in the right direction. Because then you might be somebody that is being sought at or sought for for help. And if you can give them that help, that goes down the chain of helping everybody else. So you don't want to go, I have no idea, I know, sorry, and that's it. You want to be able to say, talk to this person. Um, Try not to give any suggestions or hypothesis on what the answer is for whatever question or information they do. Just tell them where they need to go and who they need to talk to if it's not you. Um, if it's something that you should know, make sure that if you don't know it at the time, you figure out who knows this kind of stuff. No matter what you do in the SCA, I've kind of tapped on this before, is to have a support group of individuals. Um, if you have enough people that will be there for you when you need it, and hopefully in turn be there for them when they need it, for whatever it is, need something to drink, move a table, giving back and forth, and that helps out a lot. Bartering is another thing that I won't get into, but bartering is another thing, yes, but sometimes it could be just service. It could be if you run this competition, I'll make you an outfit, something like that. That's off the top of my head. So this is all I have for now. And this is just, like I said, this is about service and about doing service in the SCA, and I encourage everybody to do service. I have a handout normally for this class, but you can find me uh, on Facebook under Raven Mayne, RAVENMAYNE, and I will send you the handout if you want the handout. And that was for the best. So I appreciate anybody who watched this, and I hope with all of my classes that I do, I always hope that some part of it will help you out in some way, in something. And if it does, then I think I've done a good job, because I hope I do a good job. So thank you for watching the class. My name is Master Raven Mayne, Baron Raven Mayne, from the Kingdom of Handout. This has been Maintaining the Dream.